Hello. So yeah, we're just going to do a quick lightning talk about the Adoptium Working Group Program Plan. And this is, I guess, one of a series. It's something that we always talk about around this time of year, slightly delayed at the start of the year because, of course, the release takes priority in January. But the purpose of the program plan is just to outline our intentions for the year. And this is a product of the Adoptium Working Group. So just to remind folks who aren't familiar, the working group is a number of members who come together to support the technical work at Adoptium. Those organisations, together with our sponsors, pay some money to support the project. And as working group members, they also have the ability to support us with governance oversight to make sure that the project's being run as we'd expect it to be, and to give us some guidance and direction into where Adoptium is going over the course of the year. This happens for all working groups. As I say, this is a means of giving some guidance to the technical work, although the decision making around technical work still lies with the community, led by the PMC. There is quite a process to it. So we actually designed this program plan as a continuation of the work we've been doing in the past. Back in October, it's gone through a number of reviews with the working group and ultimately signed off by the Eclipse Foundation as being appropriate work for this working group to go on. We lay it out in a standard format, and you won't be surprised to hear that it's no significant differences to the way we're operating in the past. The project's been very successful, and we'll continue with those. We're amending our objectives to reflect what it is we intend to achieve throughout the next year as a natural progression of the work we've done over the last few years at the Eclipse Foundation. This is a mission statement for the working group. As I mentioned earlier, the working group is there to help promote and support the work of the technical teams. And that work is, as you'll not be too surprised to hear, the dissemination of runtime technologies and associated work that's taking place for runtimes in the Java ecosystem. At a glance here, this is the elevator pitch. If people ask, what is it that Adoptium does? Our primary focus are runtimes and development kits, and we ensure that they are delivered at the highest quality level that we can achieve, that they are available in very consumable formats in a wide variety of platforms across a variety of Java API versions, and all built from open source materials using open source build tools, etc. And we make those runtimes and development kits available through all the ways in which people would expect to be able to receive a runtime as conveniently as possible. So installers, container images, the API to our website to download, archives directly, and so on. Secondly, we're going to be focused on quality assurance. So we're building robust frameworks and tests to ensure that all of the performance, security, durability of the runtimes and development kits are determined, and we are baking in that security all the way through the process. The processes themselves are designed to be secure, and so we have reviews of the security infrastructure and development processes, making sure that all of the pedigree of the code is well known, that the tools are managed, supply chain is secured, and that we open up all of that information and produce the metadata required to allow others to both review it and to verify the security of the deliverables. And then down at the bottom there, we talk about innovation and differentiation. And so this is the ways in which we can add value, not only through the delivery that we come directly from the Adoptium project, but add value all the way through this Java development process. And that's going to be a focus this year as we look at ways in which we can help the OpenJDK developers to test on more platforms and get faster feedback as to some of the changes that they're making. So that's the overall direction of the project. We break that down into our program goals. And again, this is the very succinct summary of what it is that we are going to be trying to achieve this year. Number one has always been maintaining a vibrant and healthy project. And this is obviously the most important thing, is the community of people that come together to work on this software. We've always said in the past, the software can get rewritten, rebuilt. We're proud to throw things away as much as we are to write new code. And it's the people and the ideas and the vitality of the project, which means that we will have success. And so making sure that people have an environment in which they feel that they are heard, that they have all the tools that they need, and that they believe in what it is that we're doing is the most important thing for Adoptium. We're going to continue being successful and extending our position as the industry's top vendor independent deliverer of Java runtimes, from developers all the way through to high production systems. And we've seen in the past, we've heard from many of our users that the Temurin build from Adoptium is being used in some very critical areas. And so we're kind of very proud of our position. We're going to maintain and extend that. Focusing on secure software. Again, this has been a theme for the last couple of years, and so I'm sure people are not too surprised to know that this is one of the goals that we continue to drive for 2025 in our secure supply chain, but also aligning with industry best practice, where that comes from secure software development frameworks, which is how software is developed and some of the bigger processes around it. SALSA, which again is to do with their supply chain and making sure that all of that is traceable. And some of the Eclipse standards which are evolving in this area as well as to how projects will be behaving. And then finally, some of the advanced development I touched on earlier, with a bit of a focus initially on working group members and making sure that they have all of the tools, not only for consuming Java runtimes, but also contributing to Java runtimes. So some of the ways in which that is manifested is in the frameworks around compliance. So people who are building their own software Java runtimes can use some of the tools which have been developed for helping with Java compliance, but also opening up to OpenJDK development as well, and having the framework for people to be able to do some tests in that space. So those are the high-level goals. They get broken down into strategies and tactics to achieve those goals. So here, what we've just done is taken that program goal, the first one obviously being the vibrant and healthy projects. And then on the right-hand side, I'm not going to go through each of these here just in the lightning talk, but the slides will be available afterwards for people to download and read through the details. But the strategies lay out specifically what it is that we're going to do through 2025 to be able to achieve that program goal. So you can read some of the examples there in the bullet points on the right-hand side. And that's how we achieve our program goal, through that particular sort of action. On the next chart, we just summarize, because we had this as our goal last year, the achievements that we managed to hit through 2024 in this particular goal, and then what our objectives are going to be for next year. So again, this is just breaking it down into very specific examples of what it is that we're going to do within the project to be able to achieve this particular goal. And then the project priorities are the implementation of those. So we can focus on this one a little bit longer. So vibrant, healthy projects, project priorities. We're going to support the delivery of activities on our secondary and in development platforms. So the PMC again has the technical direction for how these are going to be defined, but to ensure that the projects are healthy and that we have people who are contributing and achieving things that they need to achieve. We obviously build on all the regular code bases, And when we have capacity to do so, we look at people's objectives and requirements to build non-release streams. And that build and test environment, which is going to be used as Project Trestle, opening up our build and test environments for other people to be able to do patch testing and to determine the patches that they are looking to contribute to OpenJDK work across all of the areas and platforms and different versions that we have got in our build farm here. The important other aspect is to look at things that we should stop doing. So again, part of being a healthy project is looking at work which is taking resources from the project, but not following our core principles at the moment, or not possible with the number of contributors that we have. So part of the ongoing work through 2025 is to flag areas where we might consider stopping some of the work so that we can focus on the other higher growth areas that we brought onto the project. And the way we measure that is through key metrics. So here's some examples of the metric, the measures that we had for those metrics over the last couple of years. And then, to be done is some of the targeting of those metrics so we can assess the progress that we've made through 2025. So that's kind of the general pattern. If we go on to the next one, this is product positioning. So extending our position as the top vendor neutral source of Java runtimes, the strategies that we will go through to achieve those. Again, as a lightning talk, I'm just going to whip through these very quickly. So the achievements and objectives that fit within this goal from 2024 and for 2025. And again, the very specific project priorities. So we spoke here about the supported binaries from long-term supported sources, and the fact that we will be providing non-LTS releases for the community to continue using as well. We tend to find, obviously, that enterprises prefer to move from long-term supported releases to the next long-term supported releases, but it's also very useful for the community to be able to pick up the non-LTS releases and to be able to test the progress as they move between these different versions, give some feedback, and also just keep their applications up to date with the latest changes in the Java platform. Here's a number of key metrics that we'll have. Again, because we're talking about product positioning, it's going to be a lot of the focus is going to be on the usage of Temurin to the extent that we can measure that, and other aspects that our users depend upon, such as the timeliness of our deliveries and the fact that we have got runtimes which have been validated by the Aquavit test suite as well, available to everybody. Secure software, again, program strategies here, talking about the robust supply chains that we have for the dependencies, achieving accepted criteria in the industry, and all of the consumable information so that other people can consume details about any vulnerabilities that we're made aware of. We've had a lot of achievements in this space, and so actually, we've had to summarize quite aggressively what's happened in 2024. And again, there's lots of good targets which people recognize as being part of the planning that we already have in place and that people are working towards in 2025 for secure software development. Here I'm just calling out some of the SSD and supply chain management areas. So we've already talked about the frameworks that already exist in the industry. This is the Eclipse level. These are all links. So hopefully in the document that gets published alongside this, you can follow these links to read the details of what it is that we're looking at. Reproducible builds, again, something which has been part of the project for a number of years now, but being able to build upon that and evaluate it for production of verification attestations, which is work which is currently underway, making sure that third parties can verify the builds that take place at Eclipse. And again, calling out the vulnerability disclosures and incident response plans that we have to ensure that our software remains secure even after it's been delivered by notifying the users of anything that we become notified of. These are the metrics. And then advanced development. Again, we touched on this earlier in the talk, so it's a matter of shifting left some of those opportunities for upstream OpenJDK development, making sure that our infrastructure is as efficient as possible. So there's been lots of work already around making sure that we're using dynamic machines, that we have isolated machines that can really use the infrastructure and resources that we have as efficiently as possible, and continue to work on ways in which we can engage with best in class for build systems, for machine management, for traceability. These are all ways in which we're going to continue to drive the efficiencies of the project to deliver on our goals and add extra value for people who want to use similar systems to ourselves to be able to either reuse that software and those techniques or piggyback directly on ours. We also have the incubator, and there hasn't been a lot of work in the incubator over the last couple of years. I think 2025 is probably a year in which we determine whether that's an area which is continuing to be valued by the working groups. If there's no call for it, that's fine. It would be moved into the category of things that we're prepared to stop any consideration of. And that's fine. That's just part of normal evolution. Educating and advancing our community. So again, looking for ways in which we can engage with people who are not the long-term contributors to the community. They come to Adoptium perhaps through some alternate programs, or we have outreach ways of which we can engage with some of the people to work on specific tasks that the project's interested in delivering. And again, efficiency is a hallmark of what it is that we intend to do here, with some more of our key metrics. And then because the working group is the primary source of funding, as I mentioned earlier, members who are providing some governance and direction and feedback to the project, they will be providing some membership growth. That's one of the goals for 2025, as well as sponsorships, making sure that we have all the resources that we need to be able to achieve our goals. This is kind of almost for reference rather than a specific part of the plan, although it is a forward-looking because it talks about JDK 25, the areas in which we intend to deliver JDKs, JREs across different platforms, operating systems, and Java versions. This is of key importance to working group members who, again, are there to ensure that their needs are met by the project. So that's why it appears in the plan here. And non-LTS deliverables, also mentioned, a vital part of what it is that we do. So that is a very quick run through the program plan. As I mentioned earlier, that's something which we put together with the working group, is done in collaboration with the PMC as well, to give the technical input as to what is going to be achievable over the next year, the direction that we have, and then ultimately the Eclipse Foundation will sign that off as being a good and honest way in which we should be applying our resources to the project.